All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Town Hall episode number 29. Take 2 XSplit is actually working this time. Like we said in our, I guess our pre-show is actually just our flump show. Flump, is that a word? Flump?
It is now.
It is now. It is now. Well, we announced that Zoya is not going to be here tonight. He has, basically, he can't stream for whatever reason. So no Zoya tonight. We got a 3-man show. I think this is our first or second ever 3-man show? Second,
I believe OBM was out during one of the very early.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember because we had the little dancing black mage. She was kind of doing
That's right. That's right. So this is our second ever 3-man show. But on that note, we're going to be talking about the ESV Championship Series. We're going to talk about PAX Prime, a 4-day event. I actually didn't know it was 4 days until I actually kept seeing tweets all day Monday. I was like, it's Monday. Isn't the event over? But a lot of hero stuff happened there. They had ETC pins. I want one. We're going to be having a Kooby's questions, as always, throwing that in the middle of the show, not at the end, because so many people love the show, they get upset when we cut it off at the end, and we cut it off for like 8 weeks straight, I think. And we have our resident Diablo expert, so we have a Diablo deep dive at the end of the show. So, again, 3-man show, likely a little bit shorter than average, probably not a 2-hour show, but on that note, Kooby, what is new with you?
Well, I decided the cool people in the show wear striped shirts. What do you know about that, Jake?
Wow. Wow.
Oh, I've been super busy. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter. I went down to Philadelphia for a tournament, Summer Jam. Can you see it? Yeah, Summer Jam. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I was down there for pretty much like as soon as I got out of work Friday. And just drove straight down there and then stayed till late Sunday. So a lot of Street Fighter, some heroes. Not as much as I would like, but this week, get back into the grind. That's it for me.
Sham, bam, thank you, ma'am. What's new with you?
So just this past day, I was able to commentate for the ECS, so that was really awesome. But this past weekend, I was actually in New Jersey again. I gotta stop going back to that place. But met up with the family. We have, we kind of only meet up a couple of times a year, like where everybody's all together of the immediate family. So my brother and his wife came up, and they actually purchased they bought a new poodle from where we always buy our standard poodles. Now, we're not talking like the small small little guys. We're talking a standard poodle. They're pretty big dogs, really smart, really fun.
Standard poodles.
But this one was a year old already, and so it already had a little bit of training. And all we knew about the dog was that it came from a very fashion centric home. So I just imagined like a Jersey housewife kind of home, and I found out that I can do like a Jersey housewife voice. I had to do it because the dog wasn't responding to anything else. So the dog's name is Amber. No, this is happening. Okay. So the dog's name is Amber, and just on a whim, I was just like, I saw that one video of the guy doing the girl voice, and I was just like, Amber, come here, Amber. Hi. And the dog actually responded to that for the first day. So that's something I found out about myself. My father, I don't think, will ever look at me the same way again. But yeah, that was fun. And then casted yesterday, so I've had a really roller coaster weekend about finding out things about myself.
Please never do that voice again, and the show will be a happier show. Anyone named Amber, I'm sorry, because I will always pronounce your name the way Sham just. I'm not going to try to replicate it, but.
Thanks, Jake.
Great. I moved out of New York. I'm no longer Kevin's neighbor. I no longer have ice cream trucks roaming in my streets at 11 o'clock at night trying to sell me ice cream drugs.
Ice cream drugs.
Ice cream. And so it's a big change for me. I'm back at my parents' place for the moment. So I apologize if the internet seems a little weird. I know Kev went robo for like 4 seconds during that. So apologies for that. My parents' internet is not the best. I will be picking up and moving up to Kooby's place before long, probably another 2 weeks, maybe sooner. But I have a lot going on. It's a big transition period for me, figuring out what's going on. But on that note, we have some Heroes of the Storm news. So Kev, why don't you just start us off with the ESV Championship Series?
Sure. So we had day 2 that for week 1 that happened last week. We had a couple of interesting games, but nothing really that really stood out. I think what really was awesome was yesterday's games. It started off with a pretty mediocre game. Then the second game, which is something that I really want to talk about, was Garden of Terror. and it was Snowflake versus ESV Wildfire, and it was 44 minutes long.
Yeah.
So that was ridiculous. I mean, it came to the point that Snowflake didn't want to leave their base. There were no objectives that were really important for them to leave, and ESV was just able to run around and grab all the jungles. But it came to this, like they kept spawning the plant terror, and Snowflake also had enough for a plant terror. They like whittled down Wildfire's plant terror as it got towards their base, and then they spawned their own. So it became this stalemate because neither plant terror was actually able to really get any ground. And then it was literally 20 minutes of just waiting around posturing. It was such an incredibly long game, and it really kind of drove a lot of points of why Garden of Terror is such a really hated map right now. It's so big. The objectives are so incredibly inconsequential at the beginning of the game. I think I'm using that word right. And there's nothing that really focuses team fights. So really, like, there's no way to really get a big advantage unless one team really messes up. So Wildfire had been practicing for the last week or so, like really, really hardcore practicing. They knew what they needed to practice, and they actually put on a spectacular fight with Snowflake. But because it was two evenly paced teams against each other, 44 minutes. So what do you guys?
Oh God, it's funny that you were bringing up that point about the objective not being strong enough in the beginning, but then at the end, it's almost too strong. Because there was a situation where I think Snowflake just almost completely wiped, or Tyrael had Resurgence. So that was the only reason he came back. And then he just took the plant tower, and they couldn't push. And I was just like, this game should be over. It should be over. But he had the plant tower, and it was like past level 25 or something like that. So it was like, 30 your health. 30 your health. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they got to back up. And then it's like, well, now what do we do? And then they went and collected seeds, and then it was plant terror fights, and the game dragged on for another 15 minutes or something. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's just like
that
the
aspect.
The thing is like the actual map mechanic doesn't necessarily progress the game as quickly as the other maps do, because with Black Hearts and every map, I mean, honestly, it just really pushes the game back, and the plant terror just, I don't know if it's that it's too weak. It's just a shitty mechanic. Like, there's no other way to put it. It's just like a really boring mechanic. And the map's big. It's drawn out. There's a lot of merc camps. Well, not a ton, but I actually just want to take a moment to just highlight the new maps that they have on the website. You can actually just view it and see all the information about this.
Right, I forgot that they had that.
It's a new feature they just added, and it's like really nice. You can zoom way out, which I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can zoom way in, and you can see these little siege giants sitting there being siege giants, and click on them and watch a video about them.
Is that the siege giant
That's
voice?
my siege giant voice, yeah.
Okay.
Because they're cute and cuddly.
Okay.
But it's like it's super like in depth. Like, they put a ton of work into this, so I want to give them a lot of props. But not to derail the discussion on Garden of Terror. It's a big map. We've talked about it many, many times in the show. It takes a long time, and I just think the mechanic is weak. I
mean, really, like, after the point when Snowflake was 4 people up, they ran into Wildfire's base. They just completely bypassed everything, took out a keep, but then boom on Wildfire, grabbed the plant terror, and literally just walked over and just fought off an entire team with the plant terror at that point. I was like, this is what the plant terror should be doing the entire game.
But at the same time, I mean, aren't the map objectives designed to kind of limit the game length? At that point, the map objective is actually being used to defend. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's why the
not in the fact that it defended, but the fact that it could take on 4 people at once, I think, is what's really important here.
But still, like, that's why that map runs so long.
Well, if it was able to do that the entire time, people would actually be fighting over the seeds to get them earlier so they can wreck house.
True.
And then they would be breaking down more buildings and structures. They'd be able to do a lot more with each terror. So the games would definitely be a lot shorter if we had that.
I don't know.
I mean, there's the other suggestion that I was thinking about was that if somebody spawns a plant terror, the enemy can't spawn one. So it's a race to who can spawn it first, and especially if it's going to be, a little bit more like it is in the end game, where it just does a ridiculous amount of damage. I was almost about to just curse my like. Anyway. Yeah, but it just needs to do like a lot more damage in the very early side of the game because nobody cares about the plant terror until about 20 minutes in, and then it's doing 800, 1200 a hit.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit.
Silliness.
But like even with the changes they made to make sure that make it so that the mercenary camps stay at night, the map's better, but I still don't think it's good. I still think it's the worst map in the game. But this feature on the website is great.
So that was an incredibly rough match to cast. Oh, let me tell you. And then we had probably the best game that's ever happened in the history of Heroes of the Storm so far, which was 2ARC versus Symbiote Gaming. Now, I don't want to take away credit from 2ARC as much as I want to give all the credit to Symbiote Gaming, but Symbiote Gaming went a bit exploratory with their composition for this match, and they went for the double Robo Goblin Rhaegar Bloodlust push with the Tassadar. And it was amazing. In the beginning of the game, Soldier was hiding all of his talents, and then at level 7, I'd say, or level 8 or 9, he then immediately grabbed superiority and first aid so that he could do Grave Golem 90% by himself. At which point, somebody came in. I forget who it was. I think it was Tassadar. Came in at the very end of it, who was played by KO, and Soldier was Gazlo, and they barely got thwarted by 2ARC in that jungle camp, and 2ARC was able to grab the Grave Golem. Arthlon in the interview afterwards said if they grabbed that Grave Golem, like either they were going to win with that push because they were going to be focusing on Grave Golem, like with the double Robo Goblin push, or they would have been able to do like 100% more damage than they were able to at the top lane.
And they were like 2 levels behind because of that. They were like way behind when they lost that Grave Golem.
They were getting wrecked.
Yeah, they were like so far behind.
So they went in. They were immediately spotted. I guess some guy, I don't know who it was, must have posted a YouTube video about this double Robo Goblin push business. And I think 2ARC knew what was happening because they saw an Abathur and they saw everything else. But it was amazing to watch it happen. And then 2ARC was just way ahead because they defended off that push. Everybody was dead, and I thought they were just immediately going to win the game. Symbiote Gaming came back in the most amazing fashion and was able to end the game using a Rhaegar double Archon push. And well, it was a great engagement, and then basically like just everything was still alive at the end of the map. And Dreadnought was just like tanking absolutely everything at once. It was just crazy. It was just an amazing game. Just go watch it. And I know I spoiled a little bit of it, but just watching it happen was so amazing. It was so freaking funny to watch.
That clip you just watched was the original video that Kevin posted or Shampoo posted of the double Robo Goblin push. But yeah, now they have the Bloodlust in there and the Archon in there, and
they had an Arthas. So there was a Syndragosa, so it knocked out the Keep's ability to do damage while they took that out. So they had the maximum amount of health before they went up to the palace. But 2ARC spawned right back, like they all backed at the right time. They were able to thwart the first push, but
it was a super exciting game to watch.
But go check out after, of course, Town Hall, but youtube.com/ESVTV, and it's Symbiote versus 2ARC. Great game. And then the last game was kind of more boring because it was a Stitches composition. You just kind of have to play that incredibly passively. So that was a really interesting thing to see. And really see like the best case of Stitches. Just you have to wait for that pick.
It's cool to see that we're seeing Symbiote. I mean, a lot of people say Symbiote's probably the best team in the alpha right now, but these like weird strats, like we're just gonna push and beat you. Like they were so far behind, but they're like, doesn't matter. We're just gonna do a ton of damage. We're gonna take this keep and have that. Now you don't actually get catapults if you destroy the keep, but not the fort. So like they went and they got that keep just so that they could go to the Nexus from there and get the core. But you actually don't. You cannot. That's not actually a good strategy to try to just take the keep to get those catapults early, because you have to take out the fort as well in that lane. So a lot of people think that that's kind of like the point of the strategy, but that's actually not the case.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was very silly. I remember seeing them like lined up because they had just lost the curse, and so like they probably should have been like defending in like a traditional sense. And I just remember seeing them all line up right next to the gate. I'm like, what are they doing? Oh god, oh god, they're doing it. They just break down the wall and going. I was like, these guys are insane. I can't believe they're doing this in like a leagued match. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was very hype.
I was giggling so hard, and the whole chat just exploded. Like, what? This is insane! Like, it was fun. It was very fun.
You know, now's the time to try that stuff, though, and we'll see a lot more exploration of the meta, and we'll go crazy places if pro teams
actually
are doing things.
Something I do want to mention is that Clairvoyant Gaming, who's been trying this Gazlo Sergeant Hammer Protect the Hammer type composition, actually won their first game, and it looked like they were doing a lot more solid of a job of protecting the hammer.
Crazy thing though, Kev, is that the hammer took graduating range.
I know, right? Graduating range.
Isn't that weird?
And
it's so
you
weird.
know what's great about graduating range? The amount of puns you can make about graduating range. Anyway,
I like that
yeah,
comp. It's a cool comp. Who did they get with it? Did they get Arthas or ETC? Who did they get?
ETC.
Yeah, they had ETC.
Okay.
ETC. Hold on, I might actually have. No, I don't have it yet. It was pretty interesting to watch. I can't believe it actually worked. But yeah, cool. Tempest fell to Clairvoyant Gaming with Hakfu manning.
You're spoiling all the results. It's terrible.
Hey man, watch it live.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Well, anything else that really stood out for me? I mean, I think it's cool just to see the shift in the meta. It's not even a shift in the meta. It's just like an interesting play style that we're seeing from teams already. Obviously, as more and more heroes get put into the game, we're going to see more strats like that are very divey. People are going to find... I mean, it took Rhaegar to make that composition like, oh my god, Bloodlust makes this actually just stupid. And one heroic just changes up the meta that much. And I'm sure... we're going to see that happen when Chen gets added, and you get his little barrel ability, and he can just push people in and force wall them out and whatever. But it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see how the game shifts and how the pro scene shifts when we get these new heroes. Hopefully they're sooner than later. But segueing from that point, PAX Prime was in fact this weekend. None of us were able to go. It actually just ended yesterday. It was going on for quite a while, but it, 4-day event. I know Steve was there. Blizzard was there in full force. I mean, Browder, Tim, all the CMs, they were all there.
Yeah.
I think they were like coaching like players and like teaching them how to play, and they were like coaching teams and trying to coach like random people against other random people, which is just sounds really, really fun and exciting, and like a fun experience for both the people working there and the players playing the game. But yeah, they got to play the new games, and Steve actually did like a lot of write-ups. He did a lot of like, recap of day 2, day 3. Kind of deal, and he was like, "All right, I played Anubarak 8 times so far, and this is what I can say about the hero." So, what do you guys think? You guys read the Reddit posts, or?
I did. I'd be surprised if he got 8 games in if it was anything like BlizzCon.
Yeah. I don't think
that was a long way.
Yeah,
I do remember seeing like some of the posts he was saying in the thread. People were asking him specific questions about the heroes. He's like, "I'm in line again," so I'm guessing that there was a pretty beefy line just to play. Initial impressions of heroes. I thought it was pretty cool because Matt did two parts of his post was on Anubarak. One of them was sort of more of like a CC tank build. The other one was kind of like a Scarab summoning type of build. And at least from the initial surface appearances, it looks like you can build them like 2 very different ways. So I'm kind of excited to see that.
So the Scarab build, I actually like. Is it more pushing or is it more control, like area control?
I don't think he really specified, to be honest. Like he said he was on the mines, so he said it was really, really useful to go down and clear the mines.
Interesting.
And like it got him enough shield and so that he could go down there and clear without taking any damage, basically. So
that sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, PAX Prime. Browder did an interview with DJ Weed at the very beginning of PAX Prime, so that was pretty cool. Really, nothing ridiculous was revealed. I believe they showed off Zeratul has a epic skin coming out. Master Skin, and it looks like Garden of Terror, the Plant Terror, is going to have an extra ability coming out very shortly.
It's good.
And
I mean, that
think
could help the map.
that was it. Yeah, Garden of Terror was what. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but he was sitting next to Brado just playing the game while they're talking about it.
Just to recap, like the DJ we interview, essentially Dustin confirms he'd love to see Kel'Thuzad as a playable hero in the game. They're talking about competitive play just a little bit. 6 to 8 maps on the ladder is the current goal. We've known that they plan to release a new hero every 4 to 6 weeks. Sounds about right. And the team they've heard the community feedback on Battlegrounds and will likely see a map from the StarCraft universe in the near future. So that's good. That's good news.
Just all happy about all that news.
It's all just like, like the basic stuff that you'd expect to hear, but it's exciting to actually hear him say it.
Yes,
and it's just like, we know, we're listening. Again, they're being incredibly responsive to the Heroes community, something that the StarCraft community didn't have, and it's really good for our community to just help push forward through the alpha. Especially because I think once we have that StarCraft map, that's something that's going to be appealing for a lot of StarCraft fans. They're going to see that, and if it has a mechanic that's actually kind of like is like a homage to StarCraft 2 or something. We were talking about this earlier, Kev, where maybe it's like some kind of mechanic where you control like what kind of units you have in each lane. Like that would be like really interesting and cool. Maybe you have to gather minerals to some extent. Maybe you can call down mules constantly. That would be your dream map. I would guess, because you love mules so much, but I don't know.
Mules on mules on mules.
I just think
that's
good.
it. Just an army of mules that go down your lane.
That's exactly.
They wouldn't actually do anything. Maybe repair things.
They would heal the other guys. They would heal the other guys.
Start healing the other guys.
Towers.
You have to stop your minions from getting to the enemy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, and like you said, their master skins that were spotted. There's Brightwing, Chen, Tychus, and Zeratul are all confirmed. Anubarak has a StarCraft theme skin, and Tychus or Tyrande skin appeared, which it's Warden Tyrande. I don't know what that means, but those are all new skins that are that were spotted over the weekend. I mean, master skins. Obviously, everybody's going to get a master skin. I want to know what the Brightwing one is really bad. Like if it's like Mutalisk-esque, or there's a Fairy Dragon-esque mount in WoW. Maybe it's more like that thing. It's kind of fat though compared to Brightwing. I don't know. I could talk.
I can't roll my eyes any harder on a Brightwing.
Listen, I'm excited, but I mean,
do you even have Master of Brightwing? Do you have level 10?
She's like halfway through 9.
Oh my gosh, fraudulence!
I have my portrait.
Look at this casual over here.
Yeah, God.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, the new heroes look like they're pretty fun. Well, at least from what we're reading, etc. I'm really anxious to see when they're going to get released, since they look like they're pretty polished already. Steve said that Chen was the only one. I think he said that was really kind of lackluster.
I think
in his posts.
we called that. I mean, he looks lackluster.
Yeah.
I mean, Anubarak and Asmotan have a lot of flair, and Chen just looks like, I'm a panda. I throw beer at you. I breathe fire once in a while. I don't know. I'm just not excited for him at all.
Southern out of nowhere.
Oh, learned a lot about Jake today.
Jake thinks that pandas are from the South. Interesting to know.
Louisiana pandas. You never heard of them?
Louisiana pandas. I just want to see more heroes. I'm really upset that we didn't. I mean, we got to see these 3 heroes, but we've known about these 3 heroes for a while.
Right.
I want to see just more teasers of more and more heroes.
I mean,
and maybe a little bit more fleshing out on what's going on with the tournaments, because all we actually got to hear about tournament play was from that one viewer with that one interview from the German heroes
Gamescom.
team.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, we saw these heroes at Gamescom. We saw Chen at China Joy, and now we see these heroes again. The last PAX East. Not only did we get 4 new heroes from that, confirmed, it was Brightwing, Lili, Zagara, and Murky, but they showed off Sylvanas, Kael'thas, and Chen. So, there were 7 heroes, and 3 teased, 4, they're coming soon, and 3 teased. Now, still don't have Sylvanas, and we still don't have Kael'thas. They teased him at PAX East. How far away can they be? I don't know if they have, a special plan, maybe I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess there's like individual teams that are working on heroes. Like, okay, these two guys are working on this hero. You got like one artist and you got like an animator and a voice team. I don't know. I don't know how production cycles work for game development, but it's just like I expected more.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
don't
just
want to
greedy
say
there.
I'm worried, but you guys know what month it is? What month is it?
It's September.
It's September. What happens in 2 months? 2 months.
There's
BlizzCon?
something with stuff.
BlizzCon.
Yeah, BlizzCon.
Is that what they call
So-
blizzards in the south?
Yeah. Oh god. More random judgments. So yeah, we got 2 months. We
Yeah.
have 2 months to develop some kind of competitive scene for a large tournament scale at BlizzCon. I'm worried. I'm a little concerned at this point.
That's exactly
It is
what I'm
September.
actually worried about too. Is that we have heard absolutely nothing about who Blizzard's even bringing out to BlizzCon, or anything. I mean, like, what kind of tournament is this going to be? I mean, we haven't heard anything. I'm sure a number of teams have probably been reached out to in some unofficial, informal way. Because
maybe
I can't imagine Blizzard to be like 2 months beforehand being like, or like 2 days beforehand, like, oh yeah, remember that we got a Heroes tournament at BlizzCon.
but
We gotta contact some people.
they haven't done their invites for their WoW tournament. Their WoW tournament also says details coming soon. So Hearthstone and StarCraft are both fleshed out. The qualifiers and everything are all underway. But World of Warcraft and Heroes are both. I mean, I'll check the website again. I checked it. Not
Yeah,
that
but
long
there's
ago.
already a competitive scene for WoW.
It's
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
still
That's
the
already
tournament. The
developed. They can just
tournament
invite
details
people, and that's fine.
weren't there last night. Let me check it right now. Let's see.
This game's in
coming
alpha.
coming soon. It doesn't matter. Like, it's still only 2 months prior, so it's not that insane. Like, they're well aware of the teams that exist. Same thing with World of Warcraft. They're well aware of what exists. I mean, World of Warcraft, they're probably just going to open up a tournament realm and run a tournament for qualifiers.
Okay,
But for Heroes, it's probably going to be like not going to be more than 8 teams.
Yeah.
Not going to be. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's 2 full teams of just personalities. They could have like StarCraft, like retirement squad of just like, you know, like.
Hey, we already have that. It's called Snowflake.
Oh man. Well, it's true, but they could easily make 2 teams out of that, and they could have one team that's like Day 9, Husky, Total Biscuit, and you know, throw 2 more DJ Wee and one other caster. I don't know.
Yo, can we talk about Team Town Hall Heroes?
Yo, there's 4 of us. We can pull Sea of Steve. We
4
got
of us.
5.
We'll pull CSD, and we got 5. We got this, guys. We're gonna take on SMG. Beat them at their own game. We've got our own secret strats.
Yeah, Emerald Wind.
Emerald Wind. Emerald Wind and all the other things that we say that we want to actually work but never will.
It's true. It's true. So,
Emerald Wind works at the Murky's March of Murlocs, etc.
real talk.
I don't know. We'll see.
Real talk. Would you prefer to play or cast at BlizzCon if you had the choice?
I would cast, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I mean, I've been casting a good amount of heroes. I would honestly love to get the ability to get up there and commentate. Now, I'm going to be completely unfiltered here. They're probably going to have Dustin Browder, maybe bring back Kevin Naki and Kaldor.
We'll see. I mean,
somebody
it's all
else, but
speculation.
I don't think we really have much of it. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I have much of a shot of commentating it. So if they want me to go there and do something else, I'll do it. But
Right.
I can't imagine them reaching out to nobodies like myself.
Right. We host a podcast. I mean, as much as we cast, we don't have that kind of establishment behind us
Yeah.
quite yet. We'll get there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, BlizzCon is coming up quick, and they still haven't released media passes. There's a lot of information that's really tentative with BlizzCon as a whole. So I feel like it's going to be soon. I feel like PAX has been this big thing on their plate. They've been thinking about PAX, making sure that the show at PAX goes perfectly, because it's such a massive show with so many eyes on that a lot of people get to experience the game for the first time, because as big as Blizzard Entertainment is, Heroes of the Storm isn't necessarily something everybody knows about. The game's in alpha. It's not accessible. It's not on the front of Twitch ever. So I mean, there's not a ton of like advertising. They're not advertising the game yet because it's still in alpha. They'll start actually promoting the game and running commercials for it, and putting online ads once the game's actually accessible. So it's such a big show for them to actually show off their game, especially in the gaming industry. So I mean, I feel like now that this is over, they'll push forward with more BlizzCon info very quickly. I'd be shocked if we don't hear anything in the next 2 weeks, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Before we get on to Kooby's questions, I would like to quickly, we're talking about tournaments a little bit, and I actually just want to kind of tease what we're working on. There's 2 projects that are coming up, at least 2 projects. And they're tournament focused. There's a lot of leagues going on that are really great, but we kind of had this discussion between Town Hall, and we're doing a really, really unique idea. We're not going to release all the full details yet, but essentially we're going to be running a double King of the Hill series that links up together. So basically there's going to be, Corey and I are going to cast one day, and then Kev and Zoya are going to cast the other day. And it's going to be like basically Town Hall King of the Hill red and blue. And they're going to run once a week, each of them. So you're going to have 2 days a week where you can watch the King of the Hill. It's just going to be like a best of 5, or maybe best of 3, probably best of 5.
Best of 5s.
Yeah,
we're running best of 5s already. So we already have. I can talk about the King of the Hill already. We already, Zoya and I were working on the project, and I'll give the shout out to ZP because he actually came up with this idea, was to run a double King of the Hill so we can have more content, more fun, and then of course the added in idea that they're gonna mix up together every once in a while. Mm-hmm. So Zoya and I already kind of took a little bit of a head lead on this. We do have a show match, King of the Hill. The first one, I think it's going to be Thursday. And the first set of matches, we're going to cast them live. We have the replays already, but we haven't actually looked at them. And it's going to be Snowflake versus Glorious. We're the first 2 teams for our King of the Hill. I'm really upset that Zoya's not here because it's actually like Zoya's thing, but
yeah, he's been working hard.
I wanted to announce. Yeah, he's been working really hard on this, and I wanted to announce it at least today. Even though he's not going to be here, and I feel really bad about announcing his thing, like his baby.
It's starting in 2 days,
but
yeah.
It's going to be starting on Thursday probably. So that's one thing I did want to announce.
Yeah, very true. And again, we'll have full details on the actual once we get the double, whatever you want to call it. King of the Hill rolling. That'll probably be in a couple weeks because I will actually be moving up to Corey's place. We're going to get a nice little production set up somewhere in his house. I'm going to find a nice spot and just claim it as mine because my parents' internet is not the best. As much as the free food is, and I'm going to get fat real quick here, so I have to get out because my mother makes delicious food. But on that note, and then another thing is, I don't know if you guys knew about this, but the first actual tournament that existed in the community was this thing called Kings of the Storm. Kings of the Storm is another thing that is going to be coming back. See, Steve, don't hate me for announcing this so early, but we're in the planning process. It's not going to be a league. It's going to be like a one-off thing, just kind of like you tune in on a Saturday, and it happens. The bracket just runs through. It's like just like a whole day thing. It's not going to be like a full league or anything, just going to be like events. We'll have dates as to when the next one is, but it'll be a recurring event. We're working on trying to secure prizing for it, some kind of incentive, but we will have details on that once we can. Anyway, yeah, my mother does make cookies, Hollowness. Just shout out to delicious cookies. And egg intolerance, so I can't eat too many. Oh, egg intolerance is rough. Yeah, so Kooby, I'll let you take the floor with Kooby's questions.
Oh, wait a minute. What was that intro?
Well,
I know. I was about to say, there's such a lack of hype here.
We don't have Zola. We don't have Zoya. Zoya is.
But I can try. It's time for Kooby's question.
I don't even have the
like handwave. Okay, good. All right.
I don't have the graphic ready. Like, let's just stop the show. I'm gonna find this stupid Kooby graphic.
Such fail, Jake. Such fail.
MLG production value.
You can look for that and have pay attention.
All right. Anyway, yeah. Let's start this. Let's get this down, right. Kooby.
Okay, Kooby's question. Today we're going to talk about rush comps. This is
kind of an interesting topic.
Oh my god.
Today we're going to be talking about Russia.
All right, so as I understand it, in my limited knowledge of Dota and League of Legends, there
In
are
Ukraine.
some teams that will run super rush-oriented comps if they know that the other team like really likes to drag their games out, get to the late game, get their carry nice and fed up, and then so they try to run them over as fast as they can. I want to hear what you guys' experience is with rush comps in this game, and whether you think it's something that exists. Is it healthy for the game? And like, what should we do to tweak heroes if it doesn't exist to sort of drive that type of meta to exist?
That's a really interesting question. And mainly in part because we were running into such a long period back in the when we had the trickle down economics of XP that was happening back before Squishy was able to really kind of blast that into light. But I think it does exist. We see a lot of it with Kerrigan Arthas compositions.
Yeah, that was my sort of what I based.
Granted, now here's the only thing about that is that they're two really strong heroes that can go around and roam really strong in the early game, and they both grab Envenom. Now Envenom recently got a little bit of a shadow buff, and it seems like it's a little bit more viable in the late game. But it is a really, really, really strong talent at level 4. Like, it chunks assassins at level 4.
It's
So
disgusting.
we'll see double Arthas Kerrigan teams, and they'll run around with double Envenom.
Double
it'll-
Arthas, just quit the game.
double Arthas. Double Envenom comps with Kerrigan and Arthas. It's a really strong thing. It gets a lot of map control and allows you to get a couple of forts. The thing is that in Heroes of the Storm, with still the mechanics of being able to kind of, I'm actually blanking on what it's actually called, where you're behind and you get a massive amount of XP every time that you're behind.
Oh, the bounty is it?
Anti snowballing mechanics.
Underdog bonus kind of deal. Yeah.
Underdog bonus.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what it's called. The underdog bonus. It really still doesn't really make a massive difference if you're being incredibly aggressive in the early stages. I think it should be really rewardable. I think it should be. But really right now, I mean, a lot of the super early aggressive heroes like Kerrigan and Arthas, they don't really scale down that much in the late game.
Yeah.
It's true.
So that was one thing that I was thinking of, is like, either you have heroes that are tuned so that you can talent them, maybe so that they're strong in the beginning, and then those talents scale off later, and you sort of put all your eggs in that basket, like, okay, we're going to try to run them over, just run down this lane, which is sort of how it is in Dota, if I understand it right. People run like tri-lanes, I guess. And they just try to like power through a particular lane, whereas in Heroes, if you have any form of aggression, it's usually like a two-man roam squad that goes between lanes and just tries to get as many picks as possible to get an experience lead. So that's kind of interesting in itself, that there's that difference in terms of aggression. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Okay.
I mean, pretty similar. I mean, aggression in terms of like trying to gank other players. Yeah, Kerrigan, Envenom, like early pressure like that is sure. But you can definitely do stuff with other heroes like Hammer, and you can definitely do stuff with Zagara and Murky, where you try to go for that early XP via forts. You try to just push down with those kind of things. So I haven't really experimented too much with like I'm gonna go Nazebo and Siege Tank and just see how much I can actually just get on bottom lane. You don't see a ton of that, and I don't know how hyper viable that is. But I mean, have you guys experienced that much or no? Because I never see it. It's something that existed early in like probably my super low MMR early on meta. You saw people like running. This was like before they changed Hammer a lot too. We saw a lot of that, especially because back in the day when you had Wall of the Dead, it would drain, when you would get Demolitionist on Wall of the Dead, it would just drain all the ammo out of the towers. So that was actually just kind of nuts back then. But I really don't. I mean, I think that's something that we'll see happen though. I think we'll see crazy push builds that aren't necessarily centered around dealing with other players and ganking, but more just around taking down their towers and their forts. Yeah, granted, we saw that game on ESC the other night with the Robo-Goblin build, but that's a full composition based around trying to push through. That is hyper-aggression, for sure, but it's a different type of aggression.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing about that as well, is that I'm really kind of thinking about heroes that do have really just early game and then fall off late game, because it's like a double timing attack in a way. Like at level 10, it's a really strong push mechanic, but then at level 20, it doubles back up again because they were running Tassadar, Rhaegar, Abathur, which means that you can do double Archon with Rhaegar Bloodlust.
It's disgusting.
Which is what kind of
it's like
game.
It's like strong at different points. I really can't think of a composition that is at all viable that is actually people who are really good at the early game and then fall off hard at like level 20. Like I think right now it's and honestly I'm like actually kind of impressed that happens.
I don't think
there's a lot of heroes that take a long time to get started. Muradin's a really strong one who sucks in the early game, not gonna lie.
I think Rhaegar scales really late as well, and
Rhaegar scales really late. Sergeant Hammer scales really late. Like there's a lot of heroes that take a bit to really kind of get into a really good ball to get rolling. But I can't really think of ones that are super strong early game that don't kind of stay really strong. Actually, I will say that Arthas, in a way, kind of scales down, because in the beginning of the game, like you get like all of your abilities off and an Venom and everything. Later on, he's just kind of a guy who just kind of runs around, slows down everybody, and just doesn't die. He still does a good amount of damage and everything, but he just doesn't really die. It kind of changes. It kind of shifts focus.
He's ridiculously strong, and then he like becomes normal. So I wouldn't say that he scales back. He just kind of evens out.
Yeah, he
just starts as like, oh my god, what is this thing? And then he becomes, oh, he's just another tank. But I don't know. That is actually a really interesting thought that I had never thought about before. Is now, one of the really cool things, just to talk about early aggression, that I was actually seeing in ECS was that there were teams that were running something like Kerrigan, Arthas, and etc., and they were staying in the jungle long enough that nobody knew where they were. So they were like really, really tentative about pushing out. They were like playing super safe positions, like very bottom, so that they had like just a little bit more warning when like the creeps would see them before they did, etc. Like everybody was playing really, really kind of scared. But instead of actually running around ganking things, they were just taking jungles. And then when everybody thought that they were taking a jungle was when they would be ganking. And so that's a really cool mechanic too, is that if you don't know where anybody is because it's the jungle, are they taking jungles or are they going to gank you? So what's the proper response to something like that? I mean, I hate to derail Kooby's questions, but I mean, scouting drones, clairvoyance, is that what people should be going for? Because we actually saw a really, really good scouting drone in that game, and it's props on that play.
2-Arc was beautiful with their scouting drones in the 2-Arc Symbiote game.
Yes.
I am mad props go out to 2-Arc for that. And I think right now it's really kind of scary, like, because you take that gamble of if two people are missing for a couple of seconds, are you going to go into a 3-man gank squad to try and counter gank that, or see if they're at a jungle camp? Because moving 3 people away to make it a safe engagement means that you're going to at least have one lane that's not going to have somebody in it. Or you've left 2 lanes with only one person with a 2-man gank squad running around. So that's a really good question, and I think that really hasn't been explored just yet. I think strategically we haven't really figured that out, but it's a weird situation to deal with right now. I mean, there's a lot of lack of vision because there's no wards. Except for the scouting drone. And even then, you're going to be sacrificing your level 1 talents.
What was crazy is that ETC was the one that took the scouting drone.
Yeah, right?
But ETC's like, level 1 talents are so bad, so...
I know, but still, like... ETC, of all people,
it's like a support ETC in that first level talent pick. It's like...
He's more of a support than any other tank, in my opinion. I mean, he's got the healing... even more so than Tyrael, in my opinion. So I don't think it's that weird. His level 1 talents are terrible. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, I always take block just because I'm just like, oh,
well, blocks. But I think that's a really good plays on their part. So I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad we saw good use of it because it's not something that I see all too often on the ladder myself. But
But yeah, in terms of early aggression,
People
I can't
falling
think
off,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, falling off. I mean, I think it's great. There's a couple of compositions in League of Legends that really kind of take that type of advantage. But you always have to think about the immediate factor that if you fall off and you don't actually win the game really early or get enough of a massive advantage, then you're gonna be up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
It's just the game's designed differently than Dota and League. It's not. It's even hard to compare Heroes to Dota and League, just because, like, I mean, like you said, there's all these strats that are designed against like non-carries. Heroes doesn't have carries. There's no individual level. It's a team level. So the way the whole core game works as a whole, I mean, characters shouldn't fall off. Like, the reason characters fall off is because, like, you're worrying in League and Dota, you're getting characters that just start out really quick. But once the enemy team's carries start to get fed, you just can't compete with them. In Heroes of the Storm, that's never really going to be a thing because of the shared levels. So, I mean, I think early aggression definitely has its place, and those two-man roaming squads and that early push to get that first keep, especially like on a map like Blackheart's Bay, when you make sure to get that first tower in the center before you turn in the coins to get that early keep. I think that kind of early aggression will always exist and be crucial to getting an early lead. But I don't think we're going to see these compositions where it's like, all right, we're going to run Zeratul, Illidan, Falstad, Kerrigan, and Arthas and just destroy them early and win. Like, it's... You could snowball, but if they just play safe and they just kind of, like, keep their farm up and, like, hit level 10, they're probably going to be fine. So, I don't know. I don't think it's really going to be something that we see pan out the way that League and Dota pan out.
You know, it's interesting that you brought up Zeratul, just to go on that, is because I think he is actually one of the heroes that I think a lot of people pick that does actually kind of fall off. But then I was actually thinking about Void Prison, is that Void Prison never really falls off because it's always going to be useful.
So good.
You can always immediately just, like, take out 2 to 3 people, 1 to 3 people, 1 to 5 people, I mean, if you really want to, in a team fight for just a couple of seconds. And that's why just, like, nobody grabs the level 20 talent, just because, like, it doesn't really get that much better.
He gets double spiced at 16. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's true.
So,
Yeah.
I think he actually gets stronger as he goes on. But
Yeah, but I think at level 20, like, his talent choices don't really, like... I mean, Blink is nice for him, but I don't think
most
he
people
doesn't...
get Blink.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really thinking about this, and actually now I'm just... as I said before, I'm just getting more impressed. There's not really people that fall off.
It's good game design.
At least not now. At least not now.
You're
at this
right,
stage.
but that's not what they want, obviously. They don't want characters that fall off. The game's not designed to be that way. It's a very, very... I mean, it's hard to compare the game directly to League and Dota, even with the, abundance of similarities in actual, like, gameplay.
I think it'd be cool if there were talents that were strong early but fell off. That way you'd sort of have to pay attention to what the other team's taking and see, like, oh, okay, he took this. This guy also took this. Okay, they're going to get really aggressive for the next couple of levels. We need to play really safe and, like, try to counter that as best we can. And I think it would add to a little bit more to the dynamic sense.
In Venom already kind of does that.
Yeah, but that's sort of like... You're going to take it either way. It's not like you're doing a specific rush strat.
Yeah,
you're just going to take it because it's really strong.
For now.
Yeah.
I feel like
it'd be cool to see them tweak the talents in that direction.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Okay. Well, I mean, and Venom is always good because even at late game, it still has some potential damage that it does. I mean, it does scale 35 damage per level. It's not as strong scaling as the rest of your abilities, and it still will kind of be like lackluster against massive warriors, etc. But I mean, it still is pretty useful. But you are right. I mean, I think they need to come up with a couple of talents that would be like, you have Envenom on one side, which does like a ton, and then you have something that's like 10 damage, scales 200 damage per level, and then like at level 20, it becomes like a massive thing. But at level 4 until then, it just kind of sucks. Who knows? I don't know. It's damn it.
Kooby questions to tickle your brains.
Questions.
God, okay. I feel like if I live with Kooby, he's just gonna give me Kooby questions. Like he's gonna wake me up with a Kooby question. I'm just gonna be like, I'm not ready for this.
You can't throw this at me.
I'd be really scared because it wouldn't be Kooby questions specifically about Town Hall Heroes. It'd be like, well, Jake, what do you really think about X, Y, and Z? And then Jake's gonna be on like this giant mission quest, and he's gonna like find himself again. He's gonna reinvent himself as his spirit animal. I don't know. I'm just going on something. But
I just walk around my house with a video camera. I'm just like, all right, Jake, Kooby's question. Let's go.
All right, all right. Derailing Kooby's questions. Kev, what's your spirit animal?
my spirit animal, giraffe.
Giraffe. Corey.
Tortoise.
Oh god, my Xbox, I hit it.
I heard a beep. Oh my
gosh.
god. Oh man,
tortoise.
turtle is perfect.
No, it's not a turtle, it's a tortoise.
Tortoise is perfect.
So I'm gonna write this down. I want someone to tweet at me to remind me to Photoshop Corey's head on a tortoise.
It's very shiny.
I know, it's perfect. So somebody please tweet me to remind me because I really want to make this Kooby tortoise. Well, mine's a bear. That's just obvious, but I'm not gonna try to be funny. No, I'm not Southern.
Oh my god.
Oh man, I'm just looking at tortoise pictures now.
All right, guys, good job. You passed.
We passed
Kooby's
questions
this week.
That's good. That's good. Well, on to our last topic for the day. It is going to be our deep dive for Diablo, or what's the proper pronunciation?
Dibbélz.
Dibbélz.
No, we lovingly call Diablo Dibbélz, so I don't know why, but I just immediately was like, Jake was like, need a name for the show, and I'm like, it's pronounced Dibbélz. Dibbélz. All right, let's get this started. Let's talk about the Lord of Terror from the franchise Diablo. Wow. And little known fact, did you guys know that in Spanish Diablo means devil, and he's the ruler of hell? Oh my god.
Wow. So deep.
So deep. Anyway. Diablo is a warrior class hero in Heroes of the Storm. His combat trait is Black Soulstone, gains 10 souls per hero killed, 1 per minion. For each soul gains 5 maximum health. If you have 100 souls upon dying, you will resurrect in 5 seconds and lose 100 souls, and it has a maximum of 100 stacks. So without any buffs or anything, you have 1 5-second revival at max souls, and then you have 0 souls. His ability, Shadow Charge, on his Q has a cooldown of 10 seconds. It's a charge an enemy, dealing 46 plus 8 per level damage, stunning them for 0.5 seconds. If the enemy hits an unpathable location, such as a wall or a building, etc., they are stunned for 1 second instead of 0.5. Firestorm, on a 6-second cooldown, unleashes fire waves in all directions that deal 30 plus 9 per level damage each. And Overpower, which is on his E, has a cooldown of 12 seconds. Grabs the target and slams them behind Diablo, dealing 40 plus 6 damage per level.
Wait.
Stunning them for 0.25 seconds.
This tooltip says Fire Stomp. It is called Firestorm in the game, though, right?
No, Firestorm is the...
No, Firestorm is the talent at level 60.
Oh my gosh. Ignore me.
Okay.
Wrecked.
And then he's got his 2 heroic abilities. He's got Apocalypse, and 120-second cooldown. Create a demonic rune under each enemy hero on the battleground. After a short period, the rune explodes, dealing 100 plus 10 per level damage, stunning them for 2 seconds. Lightning Breath, which is on a 60-second cooldown, which has gotten buffed like to heck. That used to be like 120 just as well as Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Channel Lightning, that deals 440 plus 88 per level damage per over 5 seconds. The direction of the lightning breath changes with your mouse cursor position. That also, actually the tooltip is missing, that it also creates an unstoppable effect on Diablo, which means he cannot be stunned, moved, or anything. Lightning breath is super fun, but it used to be super buggy, where like you would have, you could, I don't know if it actually still happens because I never played with Lightning Breath, but you used to be able to polymorph Diablo in the middle of it, but because he was technically unstoppable, it would just turn him into some fluffy creature that was just spilling out fire into the match.
We can wish.
Yeah, so go ahead, Corey. Say your normal thing.
Oh, our self-proclaimed Diablo expert here with us. I've got a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's see. All right, what kind of team comps and synergies are there that you're looking to see in a draft? So it's like, who are you like hoping to see? Like, all right, I really like working with these characters in a competitive environment.
Diablo works really well with another tank, actually. Most of the time when we see a Diablo, we see another really strong tank come out with him. But Glorious has been playing them with just a Diablo as their main warrior. But they will play with something like Warriors. Yeah, they have, I think, Sonya and Diablo sometimes. And I think Glorious also runs around with Diablo Stitches and a couple others. But for the most part, if I'm going to play Diablo, I want a whole bunch of other people that do a lot of damage. Diablo's not for his damage. The like biggest thing about Diablo is that he's a massive crowd control beast. He's literally the Lord of Terror, because if he gets on top of you, you're going to be stunned, silent, or not, well, stunned, and then stunned again, and then moved around, and you're just going to be like, I don't know what's happening, but I don't have a choice in what's going on. So he's great because you can just, if the rest of your team is able to do a lot of damage while you're kind of throwing around your enemies, they just take a whole bunch of damage and get eliminated very quickly. But he also needs a really strong healer, so I prefer somebody like an Uther or a Brightwing. You can't really survive too well without a very, very strong healer. Malfurion's okay, but you need something that's a little bit more bursty than that. Like a Blink Heal or Ancestral Healing works really well too, but you don't really ever want to pick that. Bloodlust's so good. So I typically, if I'm gonna play Diablo, I play him with a strong early gank squad, because again, he's just a whole bunch of displacement, and as long as that other person who's in your gank squad and do a little bit of CC, you're going to kill a lot of people.
Okay. That's fair. Just throwing this out there, do you think, like you said, he can move people around? Do you think he's going to pair really well with a second tank like Chen, where you can use Chen's heroic to push people in and then just play pinball with one hero, where Diablo just slams them into a wall and just throws them behind him? Like, do you think that's going to be something really good? Because you said he works really well with a second tank. And immediately I was just like, wow, Chen Diablo could be really actually scary.
I think not, just because he needs a lot of damage behind him. Like, when you're playing other warriors, I think Stitches is really one of the other ones that's picked often that really doesn't do that much damage. But he's normally paired with a whole bunch of really, really damaging heroes as well. And but like Arthas, he does a lot of damage just by himself, especially in the early game, as we were talking about before. But Diablo never really gets to a point where he's doing a lot of damage. Even if you take Lightning Breath, which you shouldn't, it's just his damage is so low that you can't sacrifice another place for an assassin, that it's going to really work out too well for your team, unless you're going for maximum survive or something like that. But even then, I don't know, because then you run into the chance that they're going to have Giant Killer on their team, and if you have a Chen and a Diablo and you have no damage and they have Giant Killer, rip.
True. So in the European scene, Diablo's never been a popular thing. He never really got big at all, and he seems to be falling out a little bit in NA as well. Do you think this is because of other heroes becoming more prominent, like Arthas, and Stitches just becoming more popular, or do you think there's a direct reason as to why Diablo's seeing less playtime?
The biggest reasons why Diablo has fallen off is because he had two really strong periods where they kind of really use his advantages. The times that Diablo was picked a lot in scrims were when there was a lot of wombo combo going on, and Apocalypse was great for wombo combos. Wombo combo being everybody gets kind of thrown into one position, and then there's a whole bunch of AoE that hits them all at once and stuns them and locks them down. Apocalypse, #1 wombo combo tool, next to Gravo Bomb.
It's up there.
And then the second time that Diablo really peaked in competitive performance was when artifacts were out. And so you could basically have this Diablo that just never died. Firestorm during that bug time was soft banned from competitive games. It wasn't really used too much. That was the bug that you pretty much could just one-shot anybody. But yeah, Diablo's really it's not that he fell off because he got nerfed or anything. It was just because there were two periods where in the meta the advantages were just there. I still think he's a pretty good pick, but he's actually shut out really easily with stuff like Void Prism.
That's a good point, actually. There's a lot of heroics that just directly counter him.
Yeah, and Again, like he does a lot of CC, but he doesn't really do a lot of damage like somebody like Arthas. Like Arthas is right now just a better pick than Diablo because he's got the slows, he's got the snares, he's got like infinite sustainability as opposed to Diablo, and he's got damage.
Cool. Koobs, any questions before we jump into talents?
Oh yeah, what does his laning abilities look like in terms of like before level 10 when team fights aren't really happening? Do you find yourself just sort of sitting in lane soaking? How often are you roaming around ganking? I know you talked about that a little bit. Do you ever jungle?
Okay, so here's like the #1 tip I can give like new Diablo players. There's this thing that you can do, and a lot of heroes can do it, but there's this thing you can do. It works really well with Diablo. It's called mounting up. And what you do, and this is like, I kind of invented this a couple of months ago. But what you do is you stay in lane, and you let them push. You kind of soak. You kind of stay like a little bit behind your lane. You kind of just soak up the experience, and you let them push. And then right before their minions run into your tower, when they're the farthest up, you run at them with your mount on, and you overpower them, and then you Q them, and then you body block them into your towers. And this is what I do time and time again on solo queue, and it wrecks nerds. Like they will keep doing it too. They'll be like, "There's no way he's gonna be able to." Oh wow, he overpowered me again. He's really strong on being able to do that, and it's really fun. If I have the ability, like if I'm duo queuing or I'm maybe like duo queuing or more, and I can trust a roaming gank partner, then I'll go do that. But for the most part, I'm just kind of soaking in lane. I try not to push just because, again, if I can get that overpower, especially if they get really close to the gate and I can overpower them over the gate and then they're screwed.
GG.
I also take a whole bunch of hits and then I get really low and they're like, haha, I'm going to go kill a Diablo. And then I just lure them really close to the gate and then I just overpower them and then charge them. And then they die. So these are a couple of small little cheeky tactics that I use with Diablo.
Okay. I like it. Yeah,
again, he's really fun on solo queue, but it's kind of also really like solo queue and random random groupings and whatnot. Excuse me, but it's kind of frustrating because you don't have damage like you would with Arthas. Like you could easily carry a game better with Arthas than a team that like you can pull off the best stuff with Diablo, and they just don't follow up, and then you're kind of like screwed.
Guys, anybody? No? Okay.
I decided a 5-man apocalypse, then overpowered and put a Vala into the middle of all of you, and you ran away. That's happened. That's happened.
Yeah, no, that's it's a very sad thing that you're describing there. That's happened too many times. I'm just like, oh, why? Solo queue strikes again.
Yeah.
Regardless, even though I've ran into all these issues with solo queue, I think at least 75% of the experience that got me to level 10 with Diablo was in solo queue.
Oh.
I played that many games of Diablo.
That's good.
You are a strong man.
Well,
stronger than I to be able to do that much.
I have not played that many games with Diablo. Actually, I am quite the fraudulent status when it comes to Diablo. And, and pretty much every tank in the game. Look at the gated. Look at the gatedness.
No.
It's probably level 1.
Oof.
Yeah.
So level 1. The build that I typically go for is, at level 1 you get Soul Feast, just because they used to have Regen Master on this talent, and I was grabbing that a lot because Regen Master was incredibly strong with a lot of the other synergies. But because they took that out, Soul Feast is just still going to be your #1 pick again. For each soul you gain an additional 5 health and 0.1% health regen per second. So just extra health, extra regen. That if you don't get the added 200 souls later on, that's an additional 500 health at 100 souls with an additional 5 health per second at the end. Or sorry, 100. No, 10 health per second. Jesus, man. 10 health per second. So it's nice if you get up to 100 souls. Of course, at that point, you don't want to lose those souls, but depending on your team, if you get enough kills or you can soak enough lane experience, you can get back up to that.
So, is there any instance where you'd want to grab block instead?
Not really. Block is nice if you're going against like a Sergeant Hammer or something like that, but even then, if you think about how block is, it's, maybe they hit you for 600 damage twice, but like, who's going to auto attack you for, if you get hit by 2 auto attacks of 500 damage, that's equal to your souls, right? And 2 auto attacks of 500 damage is going to be a lot of damage that nobody really ever does in auto attacks in 2 hits successively.
Very true.
So 500 health plus 10 health per second, it's undeniably just always going to be better if you get that 100 souls. And it scales way better if you have the 200 souls later on.
Makes sense. All right, for tier 2.
Tier 2, amplified healing, just makes your souls regen just that much better. If you have any support at all, amplified healing is just... Diablo's biggest problem is he doesn't have sustain, especially post artifacts and post regen master getting removed. So any heal is going to have to go an extra mile on Diablo in order to actually keep him alive. He just doesn't have as much sustain as he used to. So the other talents, 50% waves, fire waves going further is not that great.
No.
50 added damage to heroic enemies was nice when you could possibly pair that up with Firestorm or something like that later. Or
non-heroic enemies.
Yeah, non-heroic is just not that great. And demonic strength, again, 25% of 0 is still 0, so it doesn't really help out that much.
What used to be on this tier? Because I remember not taking amplified healing that often. There was something else. Was it the returning? Oh, it was Pierce. Okay.
Pierce. And
that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, and actually, when I was playing a lot of Diablo, and people knew me for my Diablo, I was actually asked questions about Diablo from, I think, one of the Blizzard devs or something like that, and I was like, at level 4, like, I always have to pick Pierce. There's no other choice. Why not just make Pierce an 8? And then 2 patches later, Pierce was an 8.
Yeah, you were patting yourself on the back pretty hard.
Oh, pat myself back of that. Just being, responsible for at least 1 patch note makes me really happy. But yeah, yeah, amplified healing is just really good at this level.
I just want to apologize for looking like a wildebeest. I think I might grow out a lumberjack beard.
Wow.
Wow.
Derailed.
I am gonna derail all day for my beard.
Derail is real.
As long as you start wearing a whole bunch of flannel, maybe have a log book and have a giant axe, and maybe maybe be Uther.
I'll work on it. I don't know if we belong.
Uther cosplay. Uther lumberjack cosplay.
All right, Uther cosplay by BlizzCon. Help me fund it. Tier 7 or Tier 3 level 7.
Tier 3 level 7. So I was playing around a lot with battle momentum and pairing that up with lightning breath because I thought that was really fun. But I mean that's kind of like just a little fun build for solo queue if you really want to try it out. But undeniably, endless death is just so good. 100 extra souls allows you to get a lot more health. That's another 500 health and another 10 HP a second. If you get up to 200 souls and you don't ever die, which, I mean, as Diablo nowadays is actually kind of hard to not die. But then again, if you die and you have 200 souls, guess what? You still have 100 souls. So you have the ability to die again and have another 5-second respawn. So it's like a double resurgence of the storm at that point. So having the ability to possibly even get up to there, or if you die at like 150, then you only have 50 souls, then you have another respawn. So endless death, undeniably.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. Heroics, I think it's pretty straightforward, but...
Alright, so it's pretty straightforward. Love Apocalypse. Let's talk about when you want to use Apocalypse, because I see people using it at the dumbest freaking times, NA. Top 3 dumbest times you can use Apocalypse. Number 1, if you're in a 1v1 fight, and they're a mobile hero like an assassin or something like that, or you don't have them locked down in some way, fashion, or form for that half a second that it takes for the stun to come in. Don't ever use it in a 1v1 because Apocalypse is a 120-second cooldown and can single-handedly put your entire team in the position to get a 2-second stun on everybody and just immediately eliminate them in a wombo combo or something like that. So don't ever use it in like a one-on-one situation. Number 2 is when you're in a massive open field, Apocalypse is super easy to dodge unless you're master like Apocalypse timer. And number 3 is if you ever pick up the level 20 Apocalypse talent. Like, that's just no, just stop it. Apocalypse is an incredibly importantly timed spell. It's great when you're fighting over tributes because everybody's going to be in like a nice little line, and that means at least a couple of people are going to be stuck in the very middle of that, and they're going to get stunned no matter what, and everybody else has to run. Another good time is if you're forcing everybody to have to move so you can get your team in there at like the same second. That requires a lot of positioning. And another time is when you're fighting around forts because, again, there's a very limited amount of space that they can move, so that Apocalypse has a little bit more of a higher chance of hitting everybody. So yeah, Apocalypse only in team fights. Only in team fights. Holy crap.
Or when you're about to die, right?
Oh my god. Now, Lightning Breath, never?
It just...
What if I was running
level 10 Lightning Breath is so easy. It's just like, oh, I think he's about to charge up Lightning Breath. Hey guys, let's just take a couple steps back. Oh, look, there's Diablo over there doing Lightning Breath. What's going on, buddy? Okay, cool. He's done. All right, let's move back in.
So what if Lightning Breath had a hover and you could make a seat thing and just hover and go, ah?
No, I don't, even that. I honestly think it needs to be the level 20 talent, like just that length at level 10, because like then it's like kind of over. It's, I don't know. For me, it's just the biggest thing about Diablo is you want to be interrupting everybody all the time, but Lightning Breath makes you stand still for 5 seconds and not do any of your talents or any of your abilities. Like, it just forces everybody away. It's more of like a disengaged talent than anything else. I don't know. I never find it to be a great ability. Like, unless you're playing against, like, really new people and they're like, oh, he's shooting fire out of his mouth. I'm just going to stand here and just enjoy the view.
Yeah, if they don't know that you can't knock them out of it and they try to do it, and it's like, okay, cheeky plays, but doesn't happen.
And he turns pretty slow when he's using it, so you can't, like, if Vala like vaults to the side, you're not gonna hit her again. Like,
yeah, it's like pivot, pivot, pivot.
Yeah, yeah.
I find it amusing to run around the Diablo and just like watch him try to like chase you with the fire. Like, yeah.
He's just like, he's like, you just want to like flip your table at that point. Honestly, as playing Diablo, I'd imagine. I guess that's kind of why you don't get Lightning Breath, though.
I mean, so I was using it with battle momentum, and actually what I was using Lightning Breath the most was to actually clear out jungle camps.
Oh my god.
Because you can just Lightning Breath a jungle camp and just be battle momentuming it back up again, and then you could just have it up for another team fight or something like that.
Oh my god. That's so weird.
It's cool.
It's actually like people are like, that's a really dumb thing that you're doing right there, and I'm just like, yeah, well, bam, 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 next team fight. Oh, look, it's back up again because battle momentum.
I mean, it's cool, but weird, but still cool.
Again, I was just kind of experimenting around with a whole bunch of different things, trying to make Diablo viable again.
That's good. It's not that he's not viable. It's just he's not the premium pick of the month, if you will.
Yep.
All right, moving on to, I guess...
so level 13, choice between Spell Shield and Relentless. If you see yourself getting focused down by people like Nova, Falstad, a couple other people who kind of do a little bit more caster damage, Spell Shield's really great. Especially because you have to be in the middle of their team. If you're going to be like the hard engage, get in their face and whatever, Diablo. Relentless is really nice if you just see yourself getting stunned a whole bunch. If they have like a Malfurion and you keep getting rooted, etc. If they kind of just try and spend everything on you. Uthers don't ever process the fact that you grab Relentless. They're just like, I'm just going to always stun the Diablo. I'm going to use Divine Storm on the Diablo. And like they're like, wait, hold on, why is he moving again? Relentless is really strong. A lot of people don't actually use it, but I love Relentless, especially on Diablo. Yeah, but again, Spell Shield is really nice if you're getting like a whole bunch of spells that are just melting your face.
I mean, the core mechanic of Diablo is to get in position and then displace someone. So having something like Relentless, just you can't stop him. That seems really good.
The other two Shadow Charge talents, I don't really like either of them too much. I mean, 25% slow for 3 seconds is really not that needed. And from the shadows, because 25% is really not that much.
No, it's not.
And especially because, like, if you're going to want to use a slow like that, it's to, like, kind of catch up to somebody, but then you can just Shadow Charge overpower them. And then from the shadows, 33% range. It's got a really long range already, so I'd rather just have a little bit more survivability.
Cool.
And then level 16, continuous overpower. Not a question. Ever.
Yeah.
Until, I mean,
Double flips.
Except for when Firestorm was kind of a... No, it's not for the double flips. It's because if you ever mirror match against another Diablo and he grabs overpower, continuous overpower, then you play a game of Leapfrog every single team fight. And it's like, whoop up, whoop up, whoop up, whoop up, whoop up, and that's it. That's all you do.
Can you just do me a video and post a video of Leapfrog? We can stage
Oh
it.
man, everything just went robo for me. I don't know if it did for you.
So robo. So robo.
Oh no. Well, hopefully you guys sound good to me. So
Okay, cool.
So hopefully
That works.
it's good for the stream.
It's only one way. Excellent.
Yeah. Again, my parental's internet is not very good. I will be invading Kooby's domain soon. Yeah, but continuing on, you said continuous overpower. You never flip it up. Like, I mean, there's no... Firestorm obviously was great during the bug. Not grabbing that anymore. Fire Devil.
I mean, I don't really see the Flame Stomp. I mean, so... I mean, before we get to level 20, I just do this really quick thing about Diablo.
Okay.
He's a lot of interruption and a lot of kind of just annoying everybody at the same time. So what I use Flame Stomp for the most part, is just kind of putting a little bit of damage on everybody all at once, but it also reveals cloaked heroes for the most part. I also use it a lot for just like, if you stand before a bush and you use a Firestorm, you can see like, or a Flame Stomp, you can see people in the bushes, etc. It's really just kind of like a scout, like a very short range Oracle is what I've been using it for the most part, because it really does no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, but...
and even with stuff like Firestorm, it's like, Diablo is not going to magically become some sort of Arthas like damage level, even with all of his strongest damage abilities. Like, it's just not going to happen. So why even bother even like going for it at all?
Yeah, that's...
Especially with something like continuous overpower, we could just keep interrupting people.
Right, and that's, again, displacement and peeling is what Diablo is all about, so...
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Alright, we can move on to 20.
Alright. 2 choices here. If you were... Well, actually, 3 choices. If you were really dumb and chose Lightning Breath, you have to pick a Hellstorm. That's it. However, if you were a smart man... or woman,
Creature.
and you chose Apocalypse, Bolt of the Storm or Storm Shield. Now, most times you want to grab Bolt of the Storm. However, again, if you or your team are being focused down really strongly, Storm Shield's always a really good talent as well. Bolt of the Storm, though, holy crap.
It's so fun. Excuse me. So fun. So fun.
It's so fun.
So fun.
It's so fun is what he was saying.
So
ladies and
fun.
gentlemen.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
it's so fun. Bolt of the Storm, again, just you can initiate with it, you can escape with it. Like, Diablo doesn't have an escape so much. Actually, cheeky little thing that you can do. Cheeky, there we go. If you're actually getting like chased down by enemies and you have your shadow charge up, you can use either one of the enemies that's like kind of separated from the group, or use an enemy minion or jungle camp and shadow charge to that in order to give yourself a little bit of a gap between you and like the people that are chasing after you. So I've actually even done this like on Blackheart's Bay, where I kind of like did it over a bridge, like not over a bridge, but kind of like the small little gap, and you just kind of like jolt around it. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with shadow charge and disengaging, just using something that's like a target that's farther away. But Bolt of the Storm gives you an excellent ability to either initiate by bolting ahead and then shadow charging somebody back, bolting over to somebody when your shadow charge is down using continuous overpower, just really anything. Like, or if you just need to get out of the fight because it's like a 40-second long fight and you're Diablo and you're still alive, just bolt out.
So
it's just so versatile.
I want this leapfrog display of Diablos to include bolts. Just impress me. That's all I want.
Leapfrog. Wait. Leapfrog, bolt, leapfrog. Maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I want to see it happen.
You know what's funny? Like 3 months ago, Blink was like, "Oh, why would anyone take Bolt? Why?
Wait.
Like, why would you do that?" But now it's like almost on a lot of heroes, it's like almost mandatory, and it's just like so good to have that extra mobility.
I don't know. I mean, there's not a ton of heroes that it's absolutely mandatory. Like, there's not. Okay, yeah, there's not a ton of heroes that's absolutely mandatory. There are definitely heroes that it is mandatory on, like Zeratul.
Yeah, Zagara. I would always get bolt.
Yeah, Zagara. But that's like one of my biggest problems with League of Legends is that Flash was on everybody except for like maybe a tank on each team. They had Ghost.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's at the end of the game too, so you don't have like this. I can always disengage from every team fight.
What was the
mechanic.
cooldown on Flash? And it's like 2 minutes.
That's like 3 minutes now,
3 minutes?
I think.
Yeah, they know.
It's-
Yeah. See you, Steve made it. Welcome back from PAX. You made it home alive. Congrats on that. we were gonna try to fit him on the show, but he like literally landed at Logan Airport in Boston like 20 minutes before the show started. So knew that wasn't gonna happen. But yeah, on the before we derail the show with that, yeah, I mean I agree that Bolt's really good, and but I'm glad it is at the end of the game, and it's definitely. Like you said, Storm Shield definitely has its place, and if you do get Lightning Breath, Hellstorm has its place.
I mean, like, there's a number of assassin heroes that just don't grab it. Like Vala improved Strafe.
Oh yeah, you don't get with Vala for sure.
Tychus
You can.
improved Odin.
But
No,
there's always
I wasn't
always
suggesting.
Improved
I wasn't
Blast.
suggesting that anything was necessarily mandatory. What I was saying was that like 3 months ago, no one ever took Bolt.
Yeah.
Ever. It was just like, oh, you see someone using, it, like, that guy took that. Like, who are we playing against? What is this? Like, but now it's like a really smart decision on a lot of heroes. I'll rephrase it to smart.
It is. Well, I mean, you could talk to Trixler, who's been praising the god of Bolt of the Storm.
He has
like,
been. He has
the
been.
inception of the technical alpha.
He gets his last laugh today.
He's maybe he's always right, but he's on that Illidan train right now. I don't know if that train's gonna get derailed or not, but I think now
that train is like in a ditch right now.
But the Bolt train was true. It was a Japan rail bullet train. Those things are quick.
But yeah, I mean, so Diablo's a really fun hero to play. Again, there's a couple of people who are better than him right now, so he's really not a great pick. But I think it's easy to look at him and be like, if there's like one buff that goes into Diablo, it could potentially throw him back in here. And he does a lot of stuff. Like, he's the king of disruption. Nobody can possibly compare to Diablo in terms of disruption, because he's got a displacement stun, he's got another displacement stun, and then he's got an entire team stun on Apocalypse, and then he's got the like Flame Stomp, which I think Flame Stomp is really the only talent that they need to fix. And I was really upset that Firestorm got nerfed ridiculously, like to the point that it's at right now. I think they could have done that a little bit better, so there's at least somewhat like it was, but just not as powerful. Who knows? We'll see. I still love playing him.
Yeah. I think that's it for me. I mean, I was gonna talk more about like if you think Chen and Nubarak will really mix it up, but we kind of already touched on that. Like pairing with him. But do you think a noob would have any synergy? I mean, he's got the burrow charge. I don't see how that would really synergize with him at all. It's kind of a dumb question.
Again, I mean, like, Glorious uses double tank with Diablo, but I don't really quite see it. He just doesn't do any damage, and when you play Diablo, it's just like you just need nothing but damage to really complement that.
So one thing I like to say a lot, or we say in general a lot on the show, is that the game needs more diversity in talents. Do you think they need to give Diablo more talents to make it so you can build him as a DPS Diablo?
I don't think so. Maybe,
like
but
like it.
but at the same time, I mean, if you build him DPS, what makes him really that much different from an assassin? I guess if you were to go for like a brawler type Diablo, like Sonya kind of thing, it's possible. It's possible it could work. He's got a lot of versatility in that aspect, like because he can use Shadow Charge to initiate in that way. Whereas right now, like if you're peeling for your team, you can Shadow Charge people away, or you can Shadow Charge and overpower, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's possible that they could make him into something, and like Flame Stomp actually starts doing damage magically. Because I'd love to see that happen again.
So let's theorycraft some talents really quick. So right now, Overpower is he like slams you behind him. What if he literally just threw you behind him like a toss, where he just throws you like 5 yards up in the air behind you, just big table flip. Skoldier, yeah, Skoldier, and awesome. Corey knew. That's
increases the distance that Diablo throws you behind him by 300% or something like that. Like a small dragon kick.
God, that'd be so good.
Like
That'd be actually pretty freaking awesome.
He's so strong.
I mean, honestly,
I don't think it'd be that strong though.
It would have to be
No,
on
that
16.
would be
It would
weird.
have to be on. It would have to be on 16 to replace the double overcharge.
It would.
But it'd be an interesting trade-off.
Because then you think about it, then because I mean the big problem with you can't, I mean like shadow charging and overpowering right now is like you kind of like stop somebody from running away and then you put them right behind you and then you can body.
But this would be like, all right.
But this would be like you could shadow charge in and just immediately throw somebody into your team, like they will be in your team in the next second, and they have no chance of escape. I could get behind that.
Imagine the setups. Imagine the setups with like a Gazlo bomb or like a murky like pufferfish with the pufferfish build or something. That would just be like so many sick plays could be made. It'd be really fun to watch.
Tyrande putting down the stun like as soon as it's
Oh my
tossed into it. I saw one on the ESV championships yesterday. It was somebody was gorged and then they tried to time the stun from the.
Oh yeah, but they missed it.
They were off by like maybe a second or so. And I was like,
Yeah.
God, that's so smart. Like it would have been really nice if they landed super high.
I mean, I've seen it before where like the stitches will just stand right there and the Toronto will time it out. I guess they just kind of missed when the gorge actually happened.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine. It happens. Everyone makes mistakes. But yeah, any
That
final?
was fun. He's a lot of fun. If you watch my free week about Diablo is one of the greatest things about Diablo is because of like just all the CC that he has and the ability to overpower people is that like you can just set people up to be body blocked and that's like and the way I actually phrase it is the biggest thing about Diablo is that he's the biggest thing. And I just love body blocking people as Diablo because Overpower just sets you up for the position to just body block people for days. And if you have a team that can follow up on that kind of stuff, you're going to be in a great team. But he requires a lot of synergy. And I think with a couple of talents like Overpower actually throws somebody back, he doesn't get a damage buff, but he just makes your team more able to kill people. I think that's a great change for him. Like those kinds of things. Don't give him damage because it shouldn't be that a hero needs to have damage to be viable or needs to heal a lot to be viable. Like, it should be things that are like Diablo throws you around and while, massively does a thrash maneuver and, like, pushes everybody in or back or something like that, kind of like ETC. I don't know. Just a lot of displacement should be enough to actually cause him to be a big pick.
Would that be too similar, do you see, if Fire Stomp had a knockback?
I don't think so. Maybe.
It's a lot of CC.
A lot of CC. Yeah, that is
A lot of
probably too much.
CC.
All right.
He's the CC hero, man.
Yeah, it
He's
is
the
true.
Lord of Terror.
It is true.
I mean, think about what is really terrifying in a game. Is it taking a lot of damage? Is it not being in control of your character?
Yes.
Is it
Whatever you're about to say now, it's number 2. Yeah,
Is it,
CC is very good right now. It's incredibly strong. That's what
Is it
starts
like a giant Diablo face that shows up over your screen? It's like, you can't see anything, I'm Diablo. And that's terrifying.
We're not
It's
playing
just
Smash
It is
with
terrifying.
the frickin' little puppies that come up on the screen. Oh,
You're
gosh.
just cursing up a storm.
I said frickin'. Frickin' is not a curse.
He did say frickin'.
That is
He censored
PG-13.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's probably all there is to say about Diablo, unless you want to... Any final thoughts? Because
That's about it for me. I love Diablo still.
I know.
love Dibbélz.
I know you'll talk about Diablo as long as you can. You'll just want to keep talking about him. We theory crafted a bit there. I hope we see new talents in the future, in general, for just everyone in the game, not just Diablo. Just some nice ideas. Some Skoldir shoutouts to Ronimo Gaming, who makes awesome knots, because that character is just so fun. That's where the table flipping, the like just toss idea came from, because Corey and I played a lot of that game before he
Skoldir was so godlike in that game.
He was.
Throwing dudes. Oh, so good.
And just like before we going off talking about off instruments, you can actually get him to throw a gnome. So if he doesn't actually grab someone, he throws like this explosive gnome. So what if Diablo threw a Baneling, or a Diablo equivalent to a Baneling? They have those.
There are banlings in Diablo.
Oh, yeah.
Very scary, too. Can't count the amount of times I walked around a corner and was dead.
Well, I think that pretty much does it for Town Hall episode 29. Let's move on to our shout-outs, because this is a 3-man show. Shorter show than normal. We usually... It's actually an hour and a half. Never mind, not that short at all. Shout-outs to XSplit on crashing, but before I get to myself... Kevo.
Yo, guys, hold on 1 second. I'm actually looking for the straw poll. There it is. Of course, Of course. It's another free rotation, which means another free week coming out tomorrow. Right now, I mean, last I saw, it was incredibly close. Yeah, it still is. Muradin at 13, Stitches at 11, Zeratul at 11, Falstad at 10, Malfurion at 7. I'm hoping to do an assassin, but it looks like it might be Muradin, and my Muradin's pretty beastly, so I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, of course,
but Zeratul, I think, would also be pretty fun.
Right.
But again, you can catch that out on youtube.com/Shamtoo, SCHAMTOO. And that's going to be up probably tomorrow night after I play a game or two. Last time I actually misrecorded and I had to play another game, which was a shame because the first one was really good.
Rip.
But the second one was, it still worked. And then I kind of started losing my mind at the bottom half of the game. I don't know if you guys watched it, but yeah, I just started going crazy. I kind of started, I watched it again and I was like, I remind myself of Ego Raptor, which is really weird. But anyway, I totally lost my mind at the end of the second one, but let's hope that I don't do that this time. But yeah, that's it for me. Twitter.com/Shamtoo, SCHAMTOO.
Coobs.
Yo. Follow me at Omega Black Mage, and maybe, but I'm thinking it's probably a no. How do you feel about the duo queue this week? It's probably not going to happen.
We can try. It's probably not going to happen. It's been, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, Jake's in the rough internet situation right now. We didn't do any questions this week. We do have one. I'll see if I can.
You didn't have any questions this week. You mean Kooby?
Somebody? No. Somebody posted this one
yeah.
in the chat. What do you guys think about an MMR floor when being match made for solo queue? So if you have a really high MMR, I'm guessing that he was suggesting that you can't be matched with people that are too low.
Well, I mean, the MMR system as a whole is just kind of there. I feel like they just kind of took a similar system to StarCraft 2 and just kind of go. I mean, obviously we don't have any like ranks. Eventually there's going to be leagues, we assume. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume because Hearthstone has leagues, League has leagues, StarCraft has leagues.
League is leagues. League of leagues. Okay. Yeah, I think we will see that probably fixed with the ranks.
I think it's just if you think about the MMR too hard in the alpha, I mean, it's not that it's a bad question. It's just it's an alpha right now. It's all going to be very different once there's actual leagues in the game. Because right now it's just one flat MMR for everyone.
It is frustrating, really frustrating.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like that in the final product. I can guarantee you that much.
Well, shout outs to Suggested Phrase for that one.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being.
That's it for me.
I'm far from my microphone. I'm getting too comfy in my old bed.
Towards the end of the show, you just slowly start.
It's just turned into
slowly start.
This ooze.
That's why I got rid of the ability to lean back in this chair, so I always have to sit up.
Yeah, I did the same thing, Kevin.
I used to do that, and I've now.
I would be rocking.
But I lean forward a lot still.
Yeah. Bad posture nerds. That's what we are. Coobs, anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Follow him at Omega Black Mage. He says.
I did say
He's
that.
at 83 Twitter followers.
guys, step it up. Omega Black Mage on Twitter. Get him over 100, please.
Get him over 100. Come on. We have 146 people watching right now. I want 27 followers. Math is hard. Wow, what the hell? I'm an engineer. I'm failing at this so bad. Yeah. I did get a D in Calc 2, so that makes sense. Go follow him. 27 people right now. Go follow Omega Black Mage.
While you're at it, you can actually follow the Town Hall Heroes Twitter as well. We actually have 187. We're actually doing. I don't know. It just shot up recently. So thanks for that, guys. We really appreciate the support on that. But Kooby support is much more important than our actual show Twitter. For myself, as I said at the start of the show, I just moved out of New York. It's a big transition phase right now. I'm kind of settled here, but I'll soon be going to Kooby's house. All my other shows are kind of we're going to be recording an episode of Clairvoyance. It's just going to be, Matt doesn't even know this yet. Steve does not know that it's actually just going to be me interviewing him. We typically interview someone else together, but I'm actually just going to interview him. He actually doesn't even know this. But he knows now because he's watching. But I'm pretty much going to sit down with Steve, and I'm just going to pick his brain about PAX. We wanted to do it tonight on Town Hall. He couldn't make it here for the show. So expect that VOD up tomorrow night on youtube.com/solidjakegg. Honestly, I might stream it live, so follow my Twitter for that. A word, he says in the Twitch chat.
A word?
But do me a massive favor and go over to my Twitch channel. It is new. I'm going to start streaming literally full time soon. I'll be streaming 40+ hours a week. It's twitch.tv/solidjakegg. It's a new channel. Appreciate the follows there. And we're going to be doing tournaments there. We're going to be doing lots of casts. The King of a Hill thing we teased today, that'll be over there. And we're going to start doing Clairvoyance, which is our interview series, live on that channel as well in the near future. My YouTube, also SolidJakeGG. The VOD will be there if you guys missed the first half of the show or the entire show now that we're at the last few minutes. And my Twitter, of course, SolidJakeGG. That does it for Town Hall episode number 29.
Wait, hold on. I want to put a challenge out to Kooby. Yep. Put your head down, Jake. Corey, 1 kitty pick a day until next week.
Oh my goodness!
So,
I have to go
on your Twitter.
So Hollywood.
So let's actually just make another rule. You have to have at least 1 kitty pick of your own kitty, because Corey owns Kooby's kitty, as you guys know Kooby's kitty, and he's never taken a picture of said kitty.
I mean, I've taken a picture of my cat before. I just didn't have any on hand.
That's disgusting.
Okay, all right. No, I will rectify the situation. Challenge accepted. Thanks, Kevin.
Challenge accepted. Awesome.
You guys will see cameos from my cat. He was not in here today. His name is Nico. Now that I'm at my parents' house, I do have 2 kitties. I have Nico and Pancakes. They will appear on the show. Right now, I have
Reminder on my phone right now. Sorry.
I have my fairy dragon sitting in the cat tower right now. He's happy and playing in the cat tower. But we're dragging this out. Thanks for watching Town Hall. We'll be back next week. Zoya will be returning. We have no idea what we're going to be talking about. I'm expecting a new hero to be announced that's going to go live this week, tomorrow, because we just had PAX. So hopefully that happens. But until next time, thanks for watching, dudes.